This is the Competitor Talk with host Kyle Dangler, presented by Loud Creative Works.
The Competitor Talk.
Hey, David, how's it going?
Good, how you doing?
Good. So we'll just start the podcast right now and we'll get going.
Cool, perfect.
Cool. All right.
I'm just driving, so.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes, just playing at San Jose State. Can you just talk a little bit about, your time there?
Yeah.
It's fine.
I went to JC for 2 years. After my second year, Indiana State was my only offer until last minute. It was a day after Christmas, 2011. Got offered by San Jose State by John DeFilippo, who had a good run with the Eagles. He was the OC, and then he was the OC. He's an OC now in Jacksonville. And then he was with Minnesota last year. He ended up getting let go mid-year. But he was the guy who originally recruited me to San Jose. Then I got there and he left and went to Oakland. And so I never got to play under him, but he was a big part of the reason why I went there. And then my first year, it was a situation where they had a lot of veteran guys who've been playing the last couple of years. They played all as freshmen, sophomores, so they were kind of experienced, and they didn't have a quarterback to get them the ball and kind of run the show. So I stepped into a pretty good situation where I had also been playing. It wasn't like it was my first time playing either. I had played the last 2 years, so I had experience. Yeah. And so it kind of clicked pretty quick as soon as I ended up starting, and we went 11-2, nationally ranked, went to the Military Bowl, and had one of the best years San Jose's had ever, and definitely they haven't had anything close after.
Just being at San Jose State, what was kind of the thing you tried to progress over your time there? Was it, specifically like your passing? Was it, getting stronger? What specifically did you hone in on?
I was always trying to get stronger. At that stage in my playing career, I thought that would help me. So I was always trying to get stronger. Not as much as in JC. You're still young, and nothing hurts. I'm still young now, but I was really young then, and so I would just lift like crazy. But it stopped a little bit at San Jose. I didn't lift as much just because you get beat up every week. You're just trying to maintain. And I would say I probably progressed mentally. I was processing things a lot faster and having a better understanding of what the offense was about and what we were trying to do. So I was able to check in and out of things a little bit at the line where I definitely didn't do that at MVC, the JC I went to. So that was something I definitely got better at. Just the mental aspect. Basically, I feel like my second year at MVC, I kind of grew into my body. I'm still getting better now, but I don't think that's where I made the gains.
Okay. Yeah. So, just, on the podcast that we've had so far, we've had a lot of MLB players, more NCAA players. So we haven't had an NFL player yet, which is awesome because, we talk a lot about on the show, what's the feeling like of, getting drafted or, making the major league. So what was kind of your experience, with the NFL, being the 6th round pick? I mean, how did it feel? Kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience because right after your senior year, we were 6-6, so I was waiting to see if we were going to hit a bowl game, but by early December, we found out we weren't going to a bowl game, so I started training right away. I had already picked an agent, which that's one of the first things you kind of do once you know you're done. And so I was training in Southern California in middle of December. So I barely got it. You don't get any time off after your last year in college, and then was training for the Senior Bowl, and then after the Senior Bowl, you train for the Combine, and after the Combine, you train for your Pro Day, and then that's kind of your break after the Pro Days. You kind of get a little couple weeks. I can't remember how long it was, but going into the Combine, my agent was kind of saying it was going to be a mid-round thing, like a third or fourth round thing.
Okay.
So that's what I was kind of anticipating. And then you're also training with all these guys who are going through the draft process too. So you kind of size yourself up and use things like, oh, I'm better than him, or I should be going before him. So then when there's a lot of guys who got drafted before me, it's kind of frustrating. So those first 2 days, the first round, I knew I was going to be a first round guy. So, but you're still kind of seeing how it's going to play out, which teams are taking a quarterback. And,
kind of sizing up the draft.
It's a long day. And then that second day, I'm thinking, I'm going to be a third or fourth round pick. So I'm waiting, and my agent's saying, hey, Minnesota's talking, or the Cardinals are talking, and then nothing happens. And then still, that last day, the 5th round goes by, nothing. 6th round, haven't even talked to Chicago. They came and worked me out like a week before the combine. So I wasn't really expecting it, but once it happened, I was happy. Awesome. It's a cool experience, but it's just looking back on it, it's such a cool thing that I gotta be a part of.
Yeah.
While you're in it, you don't really get to stop and say like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going through the combine, or I'm going to the Super Bowl, or I just got drafted in the NFL." But now, like,
it doesn't set in.
Like stepping away, I'm like, man, as stressful as this stuff is, crazy that I'm still playing football and I got to go through like the dream. Everyone wants to get it and stuff, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you just mentioned a little bit before, talking how it's a long process. A lot of people, at the NFL Combine say, it's a grueling process. It's a bunch of interviews, stuff like that. What was your experience like there?
Just the draft process?
Yeah.
It was a grind just because I did do the Senior Bowl, which was in January. I did do the Combine, which was in February. I did the Pro Day, which was in March. And everyone's got a process for that, and it's just nonstop. You're working out every day. You're throwing every other day or whatever it is, and you're trying to get the mental aspect. You're trying to put yourself in the best position around some of these coaches so that you can get selected. And it's just a lot of stuff just for it is, but
a young guy.
It's a fun experience. It was a fun experience, and a lot of hype, a lot of people talking about it that know nothing. You got to stay away from ESPN when you're going through that stuff. But it was fun.
It's getting drafted to the Bears, starting your career off there. I mean, was there anything specific, trying to talk to like the veteran quarterbacks, watching a lot of film? I mean, what were you trying to do at first getting into the league?
I didn't really talk to any quarterbacks going into it. I talked to a couple guys that, like David Quisbury and Ryan Otten, who were in my junior class, who I played with, who had went through the process. They went to the Senior Bowl, they did the Combine, they did everything. So I picked their brain on kind of how it was for them and anything they could give me going through it. And then I remember I talked to Chad Henne.
Okay,
because he was a quarterback for Jacksonville Jaguars, who was the staff that was coaching me in the Senior Bowl. So I was just trying to get I talked to him for 30 minutes to get an understanding of what the offense was going to be about, and it's so simple. I mean, they're not giving guys the full
playbook. Yeah,
that was about it. Who I talked to.
Yeah, so I mean, just getting into the league. I mean, what's your daily routine like as an NFL player?
During the season, it's pretty much the same for everybody for the most part. But so Sunday's a game.
Yeah.
Monday would be come in, recovery, watch the game, and then review. And you're probably gonna work out, and then that night you'll probably watch. Depending if we play Sunday again, and regardless, you'll watch like the last 3 games, probably the games that they're going to break down or maybe our game from the year before if it's like a division opponent or some or a DC that we faced before that we know they're going to play us similar. So you watch a couple of those games, just get a feel for what these guys are doing, and then Tuesday lift again most likely depending on the schedule. You'll try to get like 2 lifts before the game, and then watch first and second down cut-ups, and what we would meet with our quarterback coach on and watch a cut-up of any clips that they thought like, hey, be alert for this, or this is what we're going to try to do versus these funky looks, just to kind of get a head start on some of the stuff that might give us a problem. And then Wednesday you're practicing for second down. You'll go over that in the morning, afternoon. You'll get third down. You'll practice on Thursday morning, and then Thursday night you'll get red area third down, going into Friday, and then Saturday just a review, and then Sunday game, and then do it all over again.
Awesome, yeah. So, just being, in the NFL, are you a big film guy? Are you a big, make adjustments on the fly, based on the defense? How do you approach the game?
Yeah, you got to definitely be a film guy. I mean, within reason, I'm not going to watch...
Yeah, not hours
at
a time.
Some stats will watch 2 years ago they did this, and I'm like, because you'll just start seeing ghosts, and it's tough. But you also have to know hey, they do have this, and sometimes it happens that one cut up they'll do again.
Actually,
only, sometimes that happens. So I'd say I'm definitely a film guy, and you can't be you have to be a film guy and on the fly guy to be successful, because every team is going to have that one wrinkle that they're doing for just you, and you got to be able to make an adjustment that you couldn't prepare for. So if you're not an on the fly guy and you're like, oh, that wasn't in the film, or we didn't talk about this, and you can't make an adjustment, then you're not going to be successful. So you have to be both.
So, just after the Chicago Bears, you went to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, did you like the change of scenery? Did you think it helped? I mean, was it a tough process going there?
The weather was nice, obviously. That was pretty cool. It sucks at the same time during camp. You're sweating so much and so humid, but in terms of the football process, it wasn't too hard because I was with Gase in Chicago, so it was nice. Went to a familiar system that I knew, so that was nice. And then winters in Florida are awesome, so that was cool to be there for 2 years.
Yeah, just talking about Adam Gase. The playbooks. When you're going over the playbook, do you read into it a lot, or you kind of just once you get it, it's kind of throw it to the side and just go out and play?
No, it's it's hard to just look at the playbook and try to get the full understanding. You need to be a part of the installs and be in front of Adam when he's installing it, because he's going to give you the little details of why we're doing this and how it came about, and so you get a better feel of why exactly this is in and what it's going to be against, whether it's a pass protection or a concept that we're trying to attack a certain defense. And even then, that was my third year last year. In his system, it's you just got to keep going over it, because there's always something you can get a better understanding of, or that you missed before. But obviously, my third year, there's some things I'm not going to spend a lot of time on just because I know. But but there's offenses evolve too, so there's always new stuff that are trying to get better at and will improve on, so there's going to be some new wrinkles all the time. But this offense in Detroit, I'm going to spend a lot more time just kind of looking at the details and looking at the actual install sheet, because it's a new offense, and so I'm just trying to get that dialed in. But definitely getting an install, being in front of the coaches is the best way to do it, and then reviewing those notes and just watching film to actually see how they apply it,
Yeah, absolutely. So, just talking about, practice and, watching film, stuff like that, what do you do besides, obviously, scrimmaging against the defense? What specific drills do you do? Do you do, throwing drills, in the, different targets? What do you work on?
Yeah, we do. We have a bunch of individual drills that we'll do before practice, and every coach has the one that they like, and whether it's a footwork thing or you're trying to work on a concept that you might be working on that day, and it's something that you don't get a lot of throws of. So I kind of do. I mean, whatever the coach is asking us, and it's whether it's a footwork thing or it's just a concept thing where we're trying to get the timing down on a certain route. But yeah, I don't have like a specific drill that I.
Yeah, just kind of do them all.
Yeah.
So just talking, passing the wide receivers, different tight ends. What's your prototypical wide receiver look like? I mean, do you like a big guy? Do you like a fast guy? Do you like a guy who can run the slant or the deep ball? What do you like the most?
You need them all. You need your possession guy that's going to be a mismatch, like a bigger guy. That in certain games he's going to be your guy, and then you need like a speed guy, and then you need that guy. You need your one baller that is always going to get open and win. But in the NFL, usually that guy's getting double teamed. So then your speed guy who's one-on-one is going to win, or your tall possession guy is going to get one-on-one, and that's how you have to attack. But I mean, I really like Jarvis when he was in Miami.
Yeah.
17. He's a baller, but he's not fast. He's not big. He just wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been always curious, at the line, making a different call or, reading the situation, countering from like a pass to a run. I mean, how long, obviously you keep on progressing in that, but when did you really, settle in and realize that like you knew what to do, call what play, stuff like that?
Probably like last year, really, and then maybe even the year before. But last year was the most reps I got, so kind of get more opportunity to see what you know and try it out. Like it's easy to say, like, oh, when you're standing behind, not at the line of scrimmage, just say you see it. But
in like the high pressure situation, yeah.
Yeah, to be at the line of scrimmage, process it, say the right things, get it snapped on time. It's different, but I mean, I did it in college. It's just getting a better understanding of the defense, and then what the coach is thinking too, because you don't want to check out of something that's just completely dumb.
Yeah.
But I mean, I said it's just getting a better understanding of the.
Yeah. So like the more reps, the better, probably.
Oh yeah, which is hard to come by in the NFL if you're not a starter.
Yeah. So just going from Miami now to Detroit, I mean, kind of how's it going? I know it's only been about a month. Do you like it out there?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a week there, and then they were on break, and all the coaches go on break too. So, with that week though, I was able to get like the whole install that everyone else got. So, I kind of just spent as much time as I could and ran through like anything that I knew I was gonna. I'm like, okay, what is this? Because everyone's got the same stuff for the most part. There's different details, but so with the concepts, I'm like, oh, I've never seen this, or I've never read that. Like, what are we thinking? But everything else, I kind of got a base understanding of what's going on and what we're trying to do. But then you watch the film and just see how they do it and get a better understanding.
Yeah. Now, have you been, watching film or, looking at the playbook more going into this year because it's a new team before training camp starts?
Yeah, definitely more, but I did even before.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say definitely more this last month, just because it is new to me, and I wasn't there for all of OTAs. I only got 2 OTAs, so there's like 8 practices I didn't get.
Yeah. So, just being, for, in the NFL, a backup, I mean, what's kind of your mindset going into the games? I mean, just because, Matthew Stafford's there right now in Detroit. I mean, what's kind of your process? Do you go in thinking that, any day you can play?
Yeah, you have to. Because as soon as you check out, is the time you're going to get a chance. And then you're going to look like shit because you weren't planning on playing. And if you're thinking that way, you're definitely not watching film. You're definitely not doing the extra stuff as if you are going to play, so you're not going to do well. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes because some of these starters never go down, and you don't play for a year, but you can't go into it. And I feel like that doesn't happen just because the quarterback room is usually so close and like you're dialed in because everyone's trying to help each other.
Yeah.
And when the starter's playing, you want to help them, and it makes everyone look good. And then now everyone's trying to help the next guy because it's so hard, and it's not even worth like trying to. It's just so hard. You need help. You can't go against each other. Even like when you're competing for the backup job, it's not like vicious. It's hard. So everyone's in the same thing, and they've all been in it before. And most of the guys that I've competed against are good people, and I've always got along with everybody.
Yeah, so just talking about like being ready, being a backup, helping each other out. I mean, a lot of other positions, guys that don't play a lot, sit on the bench, the backups. But it's interesting because as a quarterback, I mean, usually they listen to the play call, make adjustments when they come off, look at film with the quarterback. So do you kind of encourage that, you'd say?
You cut out there for a little bit. I kind of lost half of what you just said.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, being, behind like a Matthew Stafford this year or someone, a lot of times other positions, back like the backup players sit on the bench. But it's an interesting position because as a quarterback, you usually listen in on the play calls. And are you a big guy, when the quarterback comes off the field that you look at video with them and, try to help them and critique the defense?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's sitting down next to each other and going over the series and any questions he has, because usually they're dialed in and they see it, but there's going to be something like, what did he do? Did he worked the other side, and what happened to the guy on the other side? So you're going to say like, oh, he got crushed, or no, he was wide open. You're going to have that, and then there might be a couple things that we saw that we can give them, or hey, they did what we were expecting on third down. Like, let's go through these plays. So. Yeah, the quarterback room is definitely it's a tight group, and everyone's got to help each other out. But then if it's like this, mid third quarter and it's the same shit, we're not gonna go sit over there.
Yeah, keep on bothering him.
Yeah, he knows what it was. So and basically at that point it's like just go out there and do it. There's nothing new happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So just. I know you haven't been with the Lions a lot. I know you just had a few practices with them, so I won't ask you about the expectations for the season. But what are your expectations, you'd say, for yourself coming into this year?
Pretty good. I mean, it's my first time being in a camp with only 3 quarterbacks, so I feel like I'm gonna get some reps, and I'm excited. And
what is it usually, like 4 or 5? You'd say
4, more than 4. Usually 4.
Okay.
That's tough. So it'll be fun. I feel like I'm getting better every year and more confident and relaxed. So you're able to just go out there and make it happen. Yes. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So I mean, have you got a chance to talk to the other quarterbacks like Matt Stafford or anything yet, or have you guys just were in the training camp?
In the meeting room and stuff with them, and so I got to talk to him and Savage, and they kind of ran a similar system last year that I ran in Miami. So it was it's been pretty good being able to bounce some things up coming from a familiar system. He's able to translate some of the stuff like, hey, this is what that was last year, and it's the same stuff. So it's been good.
Yeah. So just being a quarterback and all, do you have any specific player growing up that you tried to model yourself after, you'd say?
I liked Ben Roethlisberger. I liked Drew Brees.
Okay.
Those were some guys that I've always been a fan of, and Tony Romo.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, just being, I know I'm pretty sure Danny Amendola, he's now in Detroit too. So has it been nice to have him there? You'd say have someone Yeah,
another guy that I'm able to bounce some things off because he was in the same system I was in last year. So, and he's a good dude and works hard, and he's been cool.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on the podcast. We won't bother any more of your time, and good luck this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Appreciate it.
Bye. Yeah, so that was David Fales, Detroit Lions quarterback. Have a good night.
Community Talk.
On this segment of the Competitor Talk, we're going to do Community Talk with guest Michael Delle. He works at RSR Sports Management, which is in New Jersey. It's a sports firm agency. He previously went to Temple University, so we're going to be talking to him about that. He also as intern at business development intern at Today's Athletes, and he's been a football defensive student assistant and manager at Temple University, so he's well-rounded in knowledge in the football industry. So we're going to be talking to him about NFL news. Probably going to start off with the Ezekiel Elliott news and then kind of break down into, the Jets, Giants, a little bit else, with the Jaguars trying to make a turn to the top. So we'll give him a call right now. Hey, Mike, we're live on the Competitor Talk.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so, we'll just get started right away. I just wanted to, just start with the Ezekiel Elliott news, that he's preparing to hold out if he doesn't get a new contract. I just wanted to, talk to you because, you see a lot of different running backs doing it now because they all feel underpaid. I mean, what do you think he should do, and do you think it's good for the game?
Yeah, we saw it last year with Le'Veon Bell. I think a lot of running backs are going to start trying to do that type of scenario and hold out. In my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea. I think from what I know and some experience that I have, you're never going to get that money back, and especially with that position. They really only last 6, 8, maybe 10 years at most. So you're never going to get younger, and you're never going to get money back. So, in my opinion, holding out is not great for the game and probably not in his best interest. I think, did Le'Veon Bell really get that much of a better deal than if he just took his fully guaranteed and then got a big one? There is a risk of injury, but I think you have a right to your team and an obligation to your team. And you're never going to get younger, like I said. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm interested to see what he does.
Yeah, just talking about the Cowboys in general, too, they have Dak Prescott going on the market next year, Amari Cooper, Byron Jones. Do you think the Cowboys, talking about Ezekiel Elliott being one of the best running backs, if not the best, do you think he deserves to get paid?
Yeah, if you look at fantasy numbers too, he has been a top 5 back, so I do think he does deserve to be paid.
Do you think he should be the number one priority of the Cowboys?
I think a quarterback is always number one priority. I'm interested in seeing how Dak does this year because he had his really good first year and then he's kind of been a little iffy. So I think that's a big priority. I know they locked up the DN they had, which I thought was really good. I know that was a big priority of theirs because I think a pass rusher is big in today's game. So that's what I think.
Just speaking with, players holding out these days, I know you've been in the locker room at Temple, doing that, kind of distancing yourself from the team and then coming back. Does that mess with the locker room camaraderie with the team, or do you not think that's as big as a deal as, we might think it is?
No, great question. Yeah, I think it messes up the mojo. Especially offensive line, you try to keep your 5 guys together. You want to have same chemistry, QBs, running backs, receivers. And I've seen it with coaches too. A lot of coaches bail out of bowl games and they lead bowl games, and then the team loses their mojo and their swag that they got going into the next week. So I've seen it both with coaches and players. You got to have a good group of guys that are all bought in, and if there's a toxic person in that locker room, it can definitely affect the team for sure.
Yeah. So, just moving away from the Cowboys, staying in the same division, the Giants with the pick of Daniel Jones, I'm sure you've seen a lot of news just on it. Taking him in the first round, obviously, the Giants were high on him and wanted him specifically. But, looking, into this year, do you think in your opinion, do you think the pick was bad? And then moving into that, do you think he should play this year or, sit behind Eli?
Yeah, I think he should start off learning from Eli. From what I hear, from what I've read, they are similar body types or similar players, coached by some of the same people. I think he's going to be a great mentor to Jones. I don't think it was a terrible pick. I think it was a little early, but if you love a guy, no matter who it is, you take him. And like I said, we're not in that front office. We're not in that war room.
Absolutely.
We don't know what other teams are actually doing. We just look at people like Schefter and Twitter and things like that. But if you fall in love with a guy and you feel like you can groom him the big thing is if it fits for your team and your system. You got to find the right player for your system. And if the Giants think they had that, then they made the right pick. But we'll see. I hope that if Eli is struggling, Giants are struggling towards the end of the year, we do see Jones. I think that would give Giants fans some hope, and I think that would be beneficial to the Giants and Daniel Jones.
Yeah, so, just speaking, of former Giants now, Odell Beckham obviously got traded. He's been in the news recently, kind of, hating on the Giants, with some of the words he said. I mean, first off, just looking at the trade, obviously they wanted to get rid of him, dump the contract. But do you think they got enough value back for him?
I do. I like Jabril Peppers. I think they needed a kick returner, and they need to replace Landon Collins, and I think he does that. I think also I love the guard that they got. I'm not positive
Kevin Zeitler.
I'm not positive that was in the same trade or with Vernon, I believe.
Yeah.
But that was my big thing with the Giants. The line really, really needed to be upgraded, and I think they did that. That guard if you look at his PFF grades, I think he was one of the highest rated overall pass blocking and run blocking. So I think I'm okay with the Odell trade. I think Evan Ingram needs to step up, the tight end.
Yeah.
I think he needs to have a big year. Sterling Shepard needs to come big. And because Barkley is a dual threat, running and receiving, I think they're going to be okay. I do.
Yeah. I was just about to actually ask you, Evan Ingram last year, we've seen him drop a lot of balls, easy catches. Sterling Shepard kind of had, he had an okay year, toward the end of the season, he kind of came into his own. But do you think there's enough talent around Eli to, not only, go 500 but make the playoffs this year? Or do you think it's going to be, another year that they struggle?
Yeah, I think with the offensive line being upgraded, he's going to have more time. I think that's a really big factor. You get the running game going, opens the passing game. But Ingram's going to have to be used more. I don't think they used him enough. I know he battled through injuries. But he's going to have to be that guy that steps up. Big red zone target. They drafted him high. He's that hybrid type tight end. Can catch in the end zone area as well as be the deep ball guy. So I think they're going to have to use him. But the division's wide open in my opinion. I really don't think any of the teams is that solid. Now everyone has their cue. It seems like. The Giants are still battling back between Jones and Eli, but. I'm interested in seeing that division. I do think it's open. I think the Giants can make a run.
Yeah, just watching, a lot of NFL news, like First Take and kind of, ESPN shows. They've been pounding, into people's ears that, the Cowboys, it's their division to lose. I'm kind of with you on this, it's kind of wide open. The NFC East is one of those divisions where you look at them and, it's all kind of balanced. And now especially with Ezekiel Elliott, threatening to hold out, I could see the Giants sneaking into the playoffs.
I do too. Carson Wentz had a great first year, but he's also had injuries, and he got a huge contract. So I'm really interested in seeing how he performs out of that. And he doesn't have that Nick Foles behind him like that.
Yeah.
So I think because from what I heard, that kind of hurt him a little bit. He maybe lost some confidence with that. There's always that guy that got into the Super Bowl was behind him. So now that he's gone, I think the Eagles will be okay. But I do think the division is open. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so, now moving to the AFC East, with the Jets, the other New York team. You saw a lot of upgrades with them this year. Obviously, Sam Darnold, coming into his second year. But then, you upgraded with Le'Veon Bell. Jamison Crowder was kind of a signing that not too many people talk about. And then on the other side of the ball, getting Quinnen Williams and C.J. Mosley, coming back with Jamal Adams. Watching, a lot of news and stuff. A lot of people are predicting the Jets, win 9-10 games, make the playoffs again. Do you think the Jets have enough what it takes now to get in?
Yeah, I could see that. I think that division's kind of open too. The Pats are not as strong. They do always find a way, like we saw, but they are not as strong without Gronkowski. And the Jets definitely upgraded. I thought they made great moves. I think Quinnen Williams was one of the best picks in the draft. I think he's one of the best overall players. The ability he has to rush the passer, stuff the run. He's just a 5'-tool guy. I'm a big D-line guy, so he was my favorite. I really enjoyed watching this year's draft. There was so many D linemen that really showed out, and I really enjoyed that. With Le'Veon Bell, it'll help Darnold, I think, run game. And then Robbie Anderson. People don't think about him, but he's going to be a guy in fantasy, too, that I think people need to get early. I really do, because with Bell opening up, Bell runs well, opens up the pass game, and Darnold kind of is groomed by this new coach. I think Robbie could have a big breakout year. I know him from Temple well, too.
Yeah.
And he showed out at Temple senior year, and looks what happened to him. He's having a nice little career.
No, yeah, definitely. Robbie Anderson's, someone, big deep ball threat. The only concern I have with him is the off field stuff. He's been in a couple,
Yeah,
problems, with the law and stuff. So hopefully, if he stays out of trouble, look for him to have a big year, definitely.
yeah. If the team plays well, I think that'll hopefully he'll stay. No issues off the field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I just wanted to get your opinion real quick, just because, you brought up Rob Gronkowski real quick. A lot of people have been talking about him, kind of making a return next year. Just curious, before we move on, do you think any chance he comes back and we see him in the NFL?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he's going to. I think, I just saw him on Shark Tank the other night, and I think it was an old episode. He has such a future off the field. I could think he could be the next Dwayne Rock Johnson, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
The guy has the body. He's got the personality. I think he could do movies. He could host TV shows. I'm not sure about commentating, but he just got that great personality that everyone loves. I know he does that ground cruise thing that everyone thinks is funny.
Yeah.
He's just got a good vibe about him, and I think he's got a big future off the field. And I mean, why come back when you ended on top? So I think he's done playing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I wanted to move to the AFC South just because a lot of people don't really talk about the division, but over the last few years, I mean, you've seen the Texans, Colts, Titans, and Jaguars, all play at a high level. Coming into this year, Andrew Luck's coming back. Last year he came back from injury. Second year coming back from that. And you look at, the Texans getting back to Jadeveon Clowney, DeAndre Hopkins, being one of the best receivers, if not the best. And then the Jaguars getting Foles and the Titans, Mariota getting healthy. I mean, you look at all four teams and, I feel as though, any of them can, come out on top. Who do you think's the favorite in the division? And, who do you like? And, what do you expect from that division?
Yeah, that division is very competitive too. I think Tom Coughlin has done an excellent job with the Jaguars. I think fixing up the QB situation was the right move. Blake Bortles just wasn't a fit there.
Yeah.
And I think the Texans. I think between the defense, you got two great pass rushers, and people don't realize that that's what you need in the league. You need to get at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, get off the field. Yeah. So I think between those two guys and DeAndre Hopkins, and I like Sammy Watt. I like Deshaun Watson. Excuse me. I like them. So I picked the Texans in that one.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah. Any chance, do you think the Colts have enough what it takes now with the line and, adding some defensive pieces, get back to the playoffs? Or do you think they're going to be like a 500 team? Just curious about that.
Yeah, I think they're 500. I don't know. I haven't always been a huge fan of Luck. I think he's okay. I think he's okay. I mean, doesn't have a crazy amount of pieces to work with. I think the guard from Notre Dame, they picked him a few years ago.
Quentin Nelson,
yeah. Quentin. He was an all-rookie last year, I believe. So they have some pieces. I just think the Texans are stronger.
Yeah. So, just coming out of the NFC, last year, it was the Saints and the Rams, going to the NFC Championship. Coming into this year, they all, both teams kind of kept all their pieces. Not too many upgrades on either team. But do you think, the Saints, just looking at them specifically, Drew Brees coming into probably one of his final years, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara still there. I mean, do you think the Saints could be and should be the favorite in the NFC just because of Drew Brees' experience? And then looking at the other side of the ball, they made a few upgrades?
Yeah, I think so. I love Drew Brees, and they had a great year last year. What happened was what happened in that game.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to come out with a little revenge, and I want to get revenge, and I think they're going to be fine. Rams are always solid. It'll be interesting to see what happened with Gurley. I know he was kind of hurt at the end.
Yeah.
The news media really didn't talk about it that much. I was surprised that he kind of flew under the radar about what really happened with him.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so just, one of the, if not the most, talked about teams coming into this year is the Cleveland Browns, just because of all the, transactions they made with the Giants, adding other pieces. Looking at the Browns depth chart, I mean, you look at them on paper and you say, how can this not be a playoff team? But just with the, kind of Browns, the last few years, couple, 20 years, I mean, they haven't been as good as, every other team in the AFC. Just coming into this year, what are your expectations for the Browns?
I actually have them pretty high. 10 plus wins, maybe. I think they're going to make the playoffs, hopefully. I mean, Baker's great. They have some edge rushers now. I know Vernon from the Giants came over, and they have another edge rusher.
Sheldon Richardson.
Some good cornerbacks, too. They have a running game. Jarvis Landry combo with Odell is awesome. I could see them being high. I think the coach is a no-nonsense guy, too, which I like. I saw something that he said He expects Odell to be here every day, like no BS, and I think that's going to be a big thing for Odell to kind of groom with that coach and groom with Baker. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, so with all the like different personalities in that locker room, all the different, like Jarvis Landry and Odell, I'm sure both wanting the ball. Do you think they're going to be able to all gel together just with all the different personalities in that locker room?
Yeah, that's what you kind of worry about. I know, like in the NBA, everyone's teaming up too. You worry about who's getting the ball, but those two did play in college. That's his boy, and hopefully the relationship they have is so strong that they'll put the team first.
Yeah. So just talking about another team in the AFC North, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and you look at them 2 years ago and you look at them now, and I mean it's just a completely different offense. Minus Ben Roethlisberger. Looking at that team, I mean, with James Conner and, kind of some other pieces, like Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, do you think the Steelers have enough what it takes, make a wild card spot or, contend in the AFC North? Or do you think their time of, kind of dominance in that division, coming to an end?
Yeah, I think the Browns are stronger, but they're going to be tough. I like what Conner did. I hope he can do it again this year. He's another one that you can throw to out of the backfield. A lot of these running backs now are a dual threat, which is awesome. I think it's great for fantasy. It's great to watch. It's great for the offenses. And Juju's awesome. I think he can really emerge now because he is the guy, and there isn't distractions. And people forget how young he is. I think he's under 23 still. So that's going to be cool to see. And Roethlisberger's good still. I think he's manageable. He can escape. He's big. He's durable. So they'll be fine.
Yeah, so, just talking about, a third team in the AFC North, kind of wrapping up the division. I spoke with someone the other day, about Lamar Jackson, and, they said his talent, his speed's like Michael Vick, but, he's just got to work on the arm strength. Do you see Lamar Jackson as a franchise quarterback, or do you think, he'll turn up like an RG3, have a few good years and then kind of, dissipate into the win?
Yeah, RG3 is a great comparison for him. People are saying that. I need to see more on Lamar. It was just 1 year. It wasn't even, I don't even believe, a full year last year.
It wasn't,
I was not crazy about him coming out of college. I didn't think it was not that high on him. I thought they picked him early, and it just showed they really were not into Flacco anymore, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know too much about that. I'm interested. I hope he does well. I root the best for him, but I don't know if he's a franchise guy. I think he's not as durable as some other guys. And with the defenses now, the DNs, you got to be durable. Yeah. The edge rushers are huge, but you got to also escape the pocket, and that's what he does well. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So just last team I wanted to talk to you about before we let you go is the Oakland Raiders, just because, Derek Carr, has been in the news just recently, with a lot of people, thinking they should pick another quarterback in the draft. And then, you look at, them picking Josh Jacobs. Everyone, has him projected so high, coming into this year. Just because, the end of last year at Alabama, I mean, his stock literally rose within the final few games. And then you look at Antonio Brown, them getting the Chargers wide receiver. I mean, do you think the Raiders have what it takes to contend with the Chargers and Chiefs, or do you think they're still lacking in any specific position, like the defensive side, by getting rid of Khalil Mack?
Yeah, I think they're going to be better than they were last year. To be honest, I love the running back pick late in the first round there. I thought that was great, but they got a back Carr. I feel like a lot of them were not backing Carr last year. And if that's your guy, you got to roll with him. Yeah. But they got good management there, good coach, good energy, and I think good for that team. But I just don't know if they're going to compete with the Chiefs. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Chiefs-Rams match up again. That was a great game last year. So that'll be a great one. And I just don't think they're going to come out on top with the Chiefs there.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Just, with the Chiefs' success, last year, Andy Reid, scheme, he's going to put Patrick Mahomes in good positions, getting rid of the ball quick to some of those fast receivers. So that should be interesting. Just, last thing, do you have any, specific team player that, you think people should look out for this year? I know you mentioned Robbie Anderson before, but anyone else that you've read news on that you think is going to have a big year?
My big thing is Carson Wentz. I want to see how he does with the big contract. I know with the Mahomes deal was coming up probably after this year, they tried to lock him in so he didn't have to spend more. So let's see how he does. Because he really has shown such great brightness, and then he's also been injured. So let's NFC East I'm interested in. Definitely. I think it's wide open.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Carson Wentz definitely has to have a bounce back year, getting that big contract. So just, wanted to wrap up, with saying congratulations, graduating Temple. Do you want to just tell everyone, kind of what you're up to now? I know you're working at RSR Sports Management. What's kind of, next for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I just graduated from Temple. I was with the football team there for 3 years, traveling with them. It was a great experience. And I was interning at RSR Sports Management. We're an NFL agency based in Chatham, and now I'm here a couple more days a week than I was, and working with Rob Roche, who represents Justin Tucker.
That's awesome.
A lot of other great kickers in the league for the past 20 years. And we're in Chatham, so we're local, Morris County. And I'm going to Seton Hall for an MBA. So hopefully within 2 years have that, and then try to get certified myself and start making moves in the league as well.
Yeah, so you're looking to go into the NFL agency, sports agency?
Yeah, I love the agency thing. I would really recommend it to anyone that is into sports and business and marketing and numbers, because it has it all. So a lot of what I do is some marketing, but then I also help scout and find players, some contract research. So the agency type has it all, and you're not just binded to one specific segment of the space, the sports space.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome to hear, definitely, pursuing something, that I'm interested in, other people probably listening to, interested in. Yeah. So, so thanks for joining us. I know you got to get back to work. It's been about 20 minutes. So, have a good rest of your day. We look forward to seeing, what you do, and good luck at Seton Hall.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, so that was Michael Delle working at RSR Sports Management, trying to get certified, going to Seton Hall for his MBA to get certified to be a sports agent in the sports agency at RSR Sports Management in Chatham, New Jersey. Have a good day.